Tonight on NXT we have Cassius Ohno versus Aleister Black. Stay tuned. Founded in June of 2012, NXT's primary focus has been to serve as a developmental territory where aspiring athletes hope to someday become WWE superstars. Through the hard work of its founder, Triple H, along with a whole host of both new and established professional wrestlers, NXT has itself turned into a standalone brand whose takeover specials rival that of its WWE counterparts. Hello fans, this is Voeltz on behalf of OneWrestling.com, and I'm here today to bring you the nuts and bolts of NXT. Welcome to the June 21st edition, as I come to you from the offices of OneWrestling.com. Now our show emanates this week from Full Sail down in Florida with Nigel McGuinness, Tom Phillips, and Percy Watson on the commentary. And our first matchup of the night has Peyton Royce with Billie Kay versus Ember Moon from Dallas, Texas. This is what we saw. We saw a lot of 2-on-1 in this matchup between the friendship of Peyton Royce and Billie Kay as they double teamed without the referee's knowledge Ember Moon. They worked on Moon's left shoulder, who had been previously injured, if you recall, if you've been following NXT up to this point. But it wasn't enough to stop Ember Moon as she wins using her Eclipse for the pinfall. Up next, we have Hideo Itami, former Kenta, backstage apologizing for his previous actions versus Cassius Ohno. Cassius Ohno appears to be very forgiving, but he had other things on his mind as he's warming up, because he's in our main event later on. Next up, we have tag team action between the Eiley brother twins versus the Sanity group made up of its leader, Eric Young, and his partner, Alexander Wolf. Now, Uriel and Gabriel, the Ely brothers, these guys are about 265 pounds each. They definitely have the size advantage, but Wolf from Dresden, Germany, and EY, while EY may be only 5'11", he debuted in 1998, so he certainly had the experience advantage, and that's all it took as Young got the pinfall after a jumping neck breaker for the victory. Up next, they prefaced our big matchup for next week that's going to take place between NXT female champion Asuka, as she's going to take on Sanity's own Nikki Cross in a last woman standing match. So stay tuned for that next week. Speaking of females, our next match was one Rachel Evers, who hails from St. Paul, Minnesota, versus Sonya Deville, who came in with a lot of hype behind her. They showed a lot of her MMA type prowess. Now, here's one thing I noticed right away. She was really decked out in Mark Marrow type attire. I hope her career pans out a lot better than Mark Marrow's ended up. Well, this was a short matchup as Deville definitely had the advantage in this matchup, and she won via submission using a double wrist lock maneuver to gain the submission victory over Rachel Evers. They showed some exclusive clip that happened earlier today as Bobby Roode, the champion Bobby Roode, glorious NXT champion Bobby Roode, was having a photo shoot, and in the background came Roderick Strong and his family. And what does Bobby Roode do? He pulls a Clubber Lang, that's right out of the book of Clubber Lang, and he says, you know what, Roderick Strong, if your lady wants to see a real man, she can come home with me. That's all it took for Roderick Strong to jump on Bobby Roode, and a melee ensued. So watch for further animosity between these two individuals. I like this matchup. More on that on some later episodes. After that, we had our main event of the evening, Cassius Ohno versus Aleister Black. This was a main event if I've ever seen one. Now, Ohno comes out decked in red. Black rises from the smoke, dressed in black, of course. And this is what we saw in this matchup. Here's the tale of the tape. Cassius Ohno, he's 6'4", 270 pounds, and he hails from Dayton, Ohio, and he came in heavy for this matchup. You could tell that he's been putting on some size lately. Now, Cassius Ohno has a lot of experience behind him. He debuted also, just like Eric Young, back in 1998. So he has a lot of experience. He was trained by the likes of Dory Funk Jr., Les Thatcher, William Regal, just to name a few. Real journeyman wrestler. He's been all over the globe. Of course, his signature move is that rolling elbow. And he first appeared the striker first appeared in NXT way back in 2012 before he ventured back out and traveled the globe some more, gaining some more experience. In fact, he's a former tag team partner of WWE Raw Tag Team Champion Cesaro. That's right. Back when Cassius Ohno was known as Chris Hero, he tag teamed with Cesaro, and they were known as the Kings of Wrestling. So Cassius Ohno has a great deal of experience. Now, over on the other side of the ring is the mysterious Aleister Black. 6 foot tall, 205 pounds, hailing from Amsterdam, Holland. So this guy has really traveled the globe. That's not just a saying. This guy has literally traveled the globe. Now, he debuted in 2002, so of course he's four years newer or greener than Cassius Ohno, but to say he's a rookie is not accurate, having debuted way back in 2002. Now, his signature move is that Black Mass Vicious Kick. Now, he is trained in kickboxing and the Indonesian martial art of Pingak Silat. He was trained by several people, some of which were the MMA pioneer Bob Schreiber. That was an early mentor of his. He was also trained by Nigel McGuinness, who's on commentary, along with one Chris Hero. So a lot of background between these two individuals. Now, Aleister Black, formerly Tommy N, as people previous to his WWE experience would know him as. Now, these guys know each other, obviously, because they have both traveled around significantly, and of course, as we mentioned, Ohno had a hand in training Aleister Black. Well, this is what we saw in this matchup. As I mentioned, Ohno had the power advantage as he came in a little heavy in this matchup, and on the other end, Black appeared to have the slight advantage in the technical aspect. And as far as technical, that's what we saw a lot of early on in this matchup. They started slow, a lot of chain wrestling, a lot of grappling on the ground, until eventually Cassius Ohno gets frustrated and he chops Black. But Black takes it back to a headlock. He doesn't stand long, he doesn't start striking yet, he takes it back to a headlock before eventually showing a lot of his athleticism with a lot of different high-risk maneuvers. But he also showed a great deal of composure after those high-risk maneuvers. This match got very physical after that initial chain wrestling. They were switching back and forth between strikes and ground wrestling, and it was a very deliberate pace that slowly built speed. And along with the match growing in speed, the crowd also grew. First, they kind of watched in amazement with the chain wrestling, and then they were drawn in by the striking and the mat wrestling, and then when things really got going, they were fully invested in this matchup. Until the point where Cassius Ohno went for his signature move, that rolling elbow, but Aleister Black stopped it with his signature move, that Black Mass Vicious Kick, for the victory in our main event this week on NXT. Now it's time for our clean finish here, folks. NXT continues to gain popularity with its very straightforward presentation and a focus on in-ring competition. This past Raw, just a few days ago, it was about 3.5 hours, and I counted right around 6 matches in that 3.5 hours. Now this week's NXT, of course, 1 hour long, 4 matches. So a great deal of focus on in-ring competition. So if you like really straightforward storytelling with a focus on in-ring action, maybe a throwback to the old NWA or Jim Crockett Promotions type days, more deliberate paced, simpler to follow scenarios, NXT is the place to be. Hey, join me next week when we go over the big matchups next week on NXT. Of course, you can join me for my Raw reviews after every Monday Night Raw. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Travis Voeltz. Feel free to please comment in the comment section down below here on YouTube, and please check out everything that OneWrestling.com has to offer. Of course, you have the Impact report there from Big Ray, and OK Fabe does a SmackDown report, and a whole litany of other articles and features from the legendary Bill Apter, many other contributors. Rick Bowman's a contributor. There's so many. I shouldn't even name names because I don't want to leave people out. But check out OneWrestling.com. But please join me next week as I am privileged to bring you this very straightforward presentation of NXT. NXT has a type of wrestling that I like. I hope you like it. And we want to see this continue to grow, and we want to continue to see this show continue to grow. So please join me next time. Until then, once again, I'm T. Voeltz with your Nuts and Bolts report of NXT.